everyone, and welcome back to the PTL. This is going to be weeks 3 and 4 kind of meshed into one video because I didn't have a lot of time to record this past weekend and the week before. So this is going to be weeks 3 and 4 all in one video. Right now, currently we are 1-1, -1. So we really need to try and, I guess, if we can at least stay even. The differential needs a little bit of work, but at -1 it's almost even. So, but we're gonna see what happens in the next 2 games. So our first game is against Ace of Spades over here. Ace has decided to bring the Clefable, the Mimikyu, the Zeraora, the Mega Aggron, the Umbreon, and the Braviary. In terms of stuff that he did not bring, he had a Garchomp, he had a Pangoro, he had a Lantern, he had a Torkoal. I can't really remember what else he didn't bring, but I was just happy to see no Garchomp. And then also no Lantern. Lantern gave my team quite a bit of fits. But what we are running for Ace this week is a Stealth Rocks, 3 attacks, Choppleberry Stack Attacka. We are running a Close Combat, Bullet Punch, Max, I want to say Fizz Def, Rapid Spin, and then I believe the last move is Rock Slide, Hitmontop. We have Will-O-Wisp, Sludge Bomb, Pain Split, and Memento Wheezing, max HP and max Fizz Def to take on all of his physical threats like the Mimikyu, possibly a Zeraora, Braviary, Mega Aggron, and then the Garchomp that he did not bring. Next up we have our Scarf Kyurem Black with Ice Beam and Earth Power, and we didn't really need anything else. I think I had Focus Blast on this set, just for the Umbreon. If you look at his team, Ice and Ground kind of just destroy his team. I mean, even the Lantern that he didn't bring, the Torkoal that he didn't bring, kind of got destroyed. Every single thing on his team either took Ice or Ground neutrally. So Ice Beam and Earth Power is all we needed. I had Focus Blast on there just because, and then I think I might have also had Iron Head for maybe the Clefable. But we have our Taunt, Nature's Madness, Dual Stab, Tapu Fini, Dual Stab for the stuff that he didn't bring really. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. I did not have Water Stab. I had Ice Beam. The reason I did not have Water Stab is because he has Torkoal on the bench. So Water Stab didn't really do anything for this game. I had Ice Beam. Moonblast, Nature's Madness, and Taunt, I think was my set. And then last we have our Scarf Blacephalon, which, given that the Mimikyu's disguise is broken and it does not have Shadow Sneak, kind of claims 6 kills. So, so I decided to lead with my Stack Attacka, thinking he would either lead with the... I figured he would lead with the Zeraora, and my set is kind of he would either lead with Zeraora or Braviary, because his rocker, or he could also lead Clefable, but his rockers for this game are Mega Aggron and Clefable. Like I said, he had a Garchomp that he did not bring, and I felt like if Garchomp came, it would have been a lead rock set. So I'm guessing that his rockers, probably going to be the Clefable, because in terms of the Mega Aggron, he really needs it as a defensive check to things like possibly Tapu Fini or to Stack Attacka because of Filter, and then also to a couple other things that I didn't bring. Mega Aggron is a really nice defensive wall too, so he really needs this thing to be to have a couple attacks to hit some stuff on my team and then just be overall defensive. I felt like he couldn't really fit rocks onto his set, at least I didn't think so. And then the Umbreon and the Mimikyu are obviously going to be late game. Umbreon is just going to be annoying, but he's not going to lead the Mimikyu because I think just looking at his team, unless he's bulk up Zeraora, this is his end game, is going to be the Mimikyu. And in all of his matches prior to this, Mimikyu was his endgame. Like, in 2 out of the 3 matches, he tried to win with Mimikyu. So, Stakataka, if he leads with the Clefable, I can just Gyro Ball that into Oblivion, or I can get my rocks up of my own, actually. If he leads the Aggron, I can just switch right away into my Weezing. Like I said, I'm max HP, max physical defense, and Weezing is made to be able to take on this Aggron. And also the Garchomp and possibly the Mimikyu, depending on his set. And then the other things he could lead, if he favors momentum over hazards, he could lead either the Zeraora for a Volt Switch, or he could lead with the Braviary for a U-turn. The only way he leads with the Braviary, I think, is if he's Choice Scarfed. And personally, I mean, I guess Choice Scarf is kind of a bring versus my team, but then again, I have a Crocodile on the bench, which runs rock moves and is usually Scarfed itself, so then it would outspeed this, so I mean, I can see Scarf as a set, but I don't think it was the best set versus my team. And I think overall, I mean, unless he leads the Aggron, I think Stakataka is a very nice lead versus whatever he really wants to do. So let's get into the game. Lose my Stakataka, and that is way too fast. Let's slow down the replay a bit. And he's going to lead with his Braviary, so I'm thinking this is probably either a Scarf or a Band variant. Now remember, I am Choppleberry, so I am prepared to take a Superpower from this thing. It's not Stab, and I do take 1 Superpower because Stakataka is stupid defensive. And then if he wants to go for a Bulk Up, then that's the thing that I kind of feared right here is him going for a Bulk Up. So what I'm going to do here is, he doesn't know that I have Chopple, so he thinks I'm going to switch. So I think he's just going to try and Bulk Up here if he's not a Choice variant. If he is a Choice variant, he's just going to attack. So because I do have my Choppleberry, I'm just going to fire off a Rock Slide right here and try and do as much damage to this thing as I can. And so he goes for the U-turn. That does absolutely nothing. And he's going to go out into his Zeraora, and we're going to land the Rock Slide, and this is going to do a tremendous amount of damage. Zeraora is a decently sized threat versus my team. If it is I believe Zeraora does get Calm Mind. If it is like a Calm Mind variant, that can start punching holes through my team. Or at least like a mixed set with like Close Combat for the Kyurem, then Zeraora can really start doing things against my team. So what I'm going to do here is, okay, so he saw that I was willing to stay in, possibly, so that means that I'm probably more defensive. I think he might predict the Earthquake right here, and so I'm thinking he's gonna switch. If he's gonna switch back into his Braviary on the Earthquake, whether I just predicted his U-turn or whether I do have something to take a fighting move, that's up for him to decide. But I make the play right here. I'm gonna Rock Slide again, because I take a Close Combat from this Zeraora, a Rock Slide kills the Zeraora, and a Rock Slide will catch the Braviary on switch in. That's the reason I do that instead of going for Earthquake. I could have gone for Earthquake right here, but I was scared that he would double back into the Braviary on the Earthquake to continue scouting my set. So I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to fire off the Rock Slide right here just because I know it kills the Zeraora. We're going to eat our Chopple on the low kick, and we are going to miss the Rock Slide, unfortunately. So Earthquake was clearly like the play right there because I missed, but I couldn't risk him going back into the Braviary and getting off a Superpower or a Bulk Up, possibly. Like, I wanted to catch the Braviary on switch in. So, unfortunately, I cannot stay in, so I do have to switch. I go into Weezing. Knowing that Weezing can take a low kick, he actually has low kick over Close Combat for some reason, and knowing that this thing is probably physical. So he's going to fire off the Volt Switch and go into his Aggron. That's absolutely perfect because Weezing's made to counter Aggron, and we missed the Will-O-Wisp. Will-O-Wisp was overall the play right there because if he goes Umbreon, it negates the leftovers. He can't go Clefable because I'm a Poison type, and Will-O-Wisp does tremendous burn chip to the other 3 things. The other 3 things do not appreciate a burn. So Will-O-Wisp was the play right there, but unfortunately we miss our second bit of hacks this game. And we just got to go for it again. This time we land it. He goes for the Heavy Slam. There's our Black Sludge. And I believe I switch right here just because I can't take too much damage. And I feel safe going Hitmontop because with the burn, with the attack drop, we can take anything that this thing wants to go for. But he actually decides to go for the Roar. Roar was nice tech to phase out any setup threats. And he can't really do much damage to me at that point. So I'm not sure if Roar was the correct play, but it was a nice bring. Unfortunately, he does send me, fortunately for him, he does send me into the Blacephalon, where I can just pretty much throw out a fire move at this point, and I kind of claim one. So he's just going to give me his Zeraora. That's fine. I will take the Zeraora. Zeraora was a massive threat to my team, and I'm glad that that thing is gone. He goes the Umbreon. And like I said, Finny is made to take this thing on, so I'm going to go on ahead and switch into my Tapu Fini as he goes for the Heal Bell to heal his Aggron. And one thing that revealed to me is that he probably was not Rest on his Aggron. That is something that was really troublesome in prep coming into this game, is Mega Aggron with Rest. Because Filter allowed it to take a hit or two from Hitmontop. It definitely allowed it to take an Earth Power from Kyurem. It took an Earthquake or Superpower from Stakataka. And it took, you know, neutral hits from, like, Finny and stuff like that. So Rest Mega Aggron was something that was really troublesome in prep. And because he's Heal Bell on the Umbreon, like, that was his play versus resting to get rid of the burn. I'm thinking that he's not Rest Mega Aggron, which means that unless the Umbreon heals it up with Wish, all damage on this Aggron is permanent, which is really nice. So I'm just going to go for the Nature's Madness. I figured that he would switch, because obviously Umbreon doesn't want to stay in on Tapu Fini, so I just Nature's Madness just to get half health on whatever he wanted to go into. Worst case scenario, he went into Clefable, but again, I think I had Taunt for that. And I just go back into my Hitmontop to be able to force this thing out. And Heavy Slam did a lot more than I thought it would. I didn't actually calc before that turn. However, I just fire off the Close Combat because it's neutral on the Braviary. Ideally there, I believe that Mimikyu was his play because I was clearly going for a fighting move. And based on how much that Heavy Slam did, I could not take another one. So I couldn't go for like a Sucker Punch or anything like that. Or I think Mimikyu, I had to make that play because I couldn't allow, like, I didn't really have anything else because Wheezing takes too much if the Aggron is not burned. And I would also like to keep Wheezing for maybe the Braviary. So, yeah, so I just fire off the Close Combat, and for some reason he gives me his Aggron. I don't understand that play at all to why he gave me his Aggron. If he knew I was going to go for a fighting move, or if he thought I was going to overpredict, I mean, Clefable takes anything that this thing wants to go for. Mimikyu takes any fighting move. And Hitmontop is very essential to my game plan, because Hitmontop can break this depending on its health. Hitmontop can, of course, break the Umbreon. And what he doesn't know is that I actually have Bullet Punch on my set for his dual fairies, especially the Mimikyu. So I'm just going to fire off the Close Combat, and he's going to give me his Mega Aggron, which we take those. We take those. I don't understand the play, but we take those. So I go into Wheezing on the Braviary, and he's going to go on ahead and just crit us and just kill us. So no Will-O-Wisps will come out from the Wheezing because the Wheezing will die to a crit. So we have Mr. Rock Slide, we have missed a Will-O-Wisp, and now we've been crit by the Braviary. So that's wonderful, but we're still winning this game. Yeah, so I'm just going to go into my Kyurem because I know I'm Specs. I know I can kill this thing. Goodbye, Braviary. And nothing on his team wanted to take an Ice Beam. That was the freest Ice Beam of my life. So I go into Finny knowing that I can taunt this thing and prevent any Calm Minds, but he just decides to go for the Moonblast, and that is totally fine. I go for the Nature's Madness to whittle this thing just to see what he wants to do. He reveals that he has the Thunderbolt, which is nice on his part. I'm just gonna Moonblast and whittle this thing down. If he had the Calm Mind, he would have gone for it. And I'm just gonna do this exchange here, and with a couple, he lives on 1%, I live on 2%. It's an exchange of rolls, and I do end up killing the Clefable. So the reason I let my Finny get real low, even though Finny is a nice counter to Umbreon, is two reasons. One, Clefable was very, very annoying for my team to handle, although I still had Stack Attacka in the back. Stack Attacka does not like taking special hits, especially ones from Clefable. So that's the reason I let my Finny get low in exchange for the Clefable, basically. And then also, that leaves the Umbreon and the Mimikyu. And I know with the remaining I guess 4, if you take out Tapu Fini, the remaining 4 Mons I have on my team, I know 100% can beat those 2 Mons. At that point at which his Clefable went down, I knew I had won the game. Because Kyurem has a Steel move. I know 100% I brought a Steel move on Kyurem. I just forget what move it is. I have a Steel move, and I'm Scarfed. So unless the Mimikyu is Shadow Sneak, I just destroy the Mimikyu. And then Hitmontop, with the current health that it's at, because I have no attack investment, Foul Play does not, like, Umbreon cannot beat Hitmontop 1v1. So actually, if I can get the Mimikyu down to about 30-ish%, 30-40%, Hitmontop actually just wins by Bullet Punch plus Close Combat. Hitmontop just wins. So, yeah, so I will take the Clefable because I know that if I can get the Mimikyu low, then Hitmontop just wins. And I think with my remaining 4 Mons, I can beat these 2. The second reason I let my Finny get real low in exchange for his Clefable is so that he goes into the Mimikyu. Mimikyu is his win condition at this point. Remember that. Mimikyu is 100% his win condition. As soon as Braviary went down, because the Zera Aura was already dead, and unless he was Calm Mind Clefable, which he wasn't, I don't think, Mimikyu is 100% his win condition. So, I cannot let this thing keep its disguise while it is at +2. If this thing has its disguise still up, while it is at +2, I can't beat it. Or if I can beat it, then I gotta give up like a Mon or 2 to do it. So, like I said, there was 2 reasons I let my Finny get real low, is that he's gonna send in the Mimikyu, and he's gonna think, okay, I want to preserve this for the Umbreon, so he thinks that I'm gonna switch into something else to take on this Mimikyu, give him a free Swords Dance with his disguise still up. I'm not gonna do that. I am going to Moonblast right here to make sure I kill his disguise. So I Moonblast, and as long as he is not Shadow Sneak, Kyurem plus Hitmontop wins at this point. So I let him kill my Finny, I go into my Kyurem, and I Flash Cannon to get this thing super low. Flash Cannon never killed, but Flash Cannon did guaranteed put him in range of Bullet Punch from Hitmontop. And I knew that as soon as this thing got into Hitmontop Bullet Punch range, that Hitmontop won the game. Hitmontop wins the game if I get this Flash Cannon off. Because I'm Scarfed, I get the Flash Cannon off, and turns out he didn't have Shadow Sneak on his set, but even if he did have Shadow Sneak, it wasn't killing me at +2. So he just fires off the Z move right here, the Mimikyu Z, something like that, and he kills my Kyurem. And at this point, Hitmontop just wins. I get the Intimidate. I can go for the Bullet Punch. He gives me the Mimikyu, and at this point, it's over. I can just click Close Combat twice. He actually pulls out the Shadow Ball right here on his Umbreon. I'm not really sure about that prep because in terms of countering the Blacephalon, I mean, you have Foul Play that is not only stab, but has a higher base power, and keep in mind, Blacephalon has like 120 attack stat. Like, that's really big. Blacephalon has a very high attack stat, so Foul Play would have just annihilated it. So, I don't know why he was Shadow Ball. That was a weird thing of prep that I never asked him about after the game. But, yeah. That's, So we're just gonna go on ahead and kill this thing with Close Combat, and that is week 3. So we win week 3, 3-0. So now we are 2-1 +2, which is a decent differential, and is a really good record. I don't really have a goal set in terms of record for this season, but hey, starting out 2-1 is really nice. So let's go on to week 4. in week 4, we play our good pal and frequent front office helper, Eshaan. So before I get into this battle, I want to thank Eshaan for always helping me, like, in terms of prep. Like, Eshaan is, like, Eshaan, Cameron, and Evie, I think, are the 3 people who are, like, most active in my front office. So not having Eshaan to be able to help me prep for this game was definitely a hit, but Cameron and Evie and I, like, yeah, I think Cameron and Evie were there. They helped me, like, they helped me build for this game. So thank you guys for helping me build for this game. Thank you for Eshaan for always being super active and helping me build. So, Eshaan has a really scary team. In terms of what he did not bring, he has a Gyarados on the bench. That thing was scary. Very, very scary in prep. He has a Garbodor on the bench. He has a Mega Alakazam on the bench that he did not bring. Yeah, he has Lele with Psychic Surge. He has Mega Alakazam. He has Sand. And then he has Shaman and a Gyarados in there. he just has a Gyarados just thrown in there. So he decided to bring the Girder, which I really did not expect. Even though fighting does a lot versus my team, I have ways to counter fighting types, so the Girder kind of caught me off guard a little bit, but I see why he brought it. The Tapu Lele, which I fully expect to be choiced in some way based on this team. I fully expect this thing to be choiced. Tyranitar, this is regular Aerodactyl, because he has Mega Alakazam on the bench. Shaman, and Excadrill. So, our prep is double hazards, Gyro Ball, T-Wave, Ferroseed, because he didn't have a spinner and he had like 2 defoggers and they were both like low tier mons, I think. So like hazards were really good versus his team, and also rocks were able to pressure the Gyarados. Like Gyarados was so terrifying in prep because a D-Dance variant, like if he gets 2 D-Dances up, I can't really do anything outside of like Cycle Intimidators. And then if he was like, I played a mock versus someone once, and they brought like a sub Thunderwave max HP Gyarados, and like it just destroyed my team. So of course Raikou had to absolutely 100% come to this game. So yeah, so back to my team. Sorry for getting sidetracked. We have Dual Hazards, Gyro Ball, Thunderwave, Ferroseed. We have our Scarf, Kieran Black with 4 attacks. I forget what those 4 attacks are. We have Scarf Blacephalon. We are running Dual Scarf this week. And Blacephalon actually just cleans as soon as the Tyranitar is dead, that I've just noticed. If the Tyranitar is dead and the Excadrill is not in sand, Blacephalon just kind of cleans. Hitmontop with, I believe... So funny enough, he has the Lele, and we're running dual priority. We are running Mach Punch, Sucker Punch. The reason we are doing that is because the terrain is not up all the time. 2, Mach Punch helps beat the Excadrill and Tyranitar in sand. And it's also nice for things like the Aerodactyl, which do take Mach Punch neutrally. And then we had Sucker Punch for the Mega Alakazam as sort of a... If we could catch the Mega Alakazam out of terrain, like he won't think that I'll run Sucker Punch for... he won't think that I'll run Sucker Punch because of the Lele, so... So yeah, like he won't expect it, and I can just claim the Zam that way. We have I forget this Finny set. Based on his team, Nature's Madness, Defog, Water Stab, and Fairy Stab really isn't needed. I believe Madness, Defog, Water Stab, and I forget what the last move is. I know for a fact I don't have Fairy Stab. That's the important thing. The important thing is I know that I don't have Fairy Stab. Oh, I'm Haze. That's the other thing. For D-Dance, Tyranitar. That's the other thing, is that I am Haze. Also for the Gyarados, because Haze beats the Gyarados. And then, lastly we have a Raikou, which is the shiny one that comes with Aura Sphere. And then we also have a Shuckaberry to be able to take a ground hit for pretty much anything. And we are also running Signal Beam for the Shaman, which I think is really nice tech. And because the nature that we're forced to be boosts our special attack, we are able to 2-hit KO the Shaman with Signal Beam. nearly 100%, depending on his spread. And yeah, so let's just go on ahead and get right into the game. I believe I lead with my... Leads with the Girder. I lead with my Hitmontop because I thought he would lead with the Tyranitar or Aerodactyl. And Aerodactyl doesn't really get good flying stab. So he leads with the Girder. Now, again, I didn't think he'd bring this thing, much less lead it. What I'm really scared of that he might be is a bulk up, Drain Punch, Poison Jab set, and then his last move can really be whatever, because those 3 moves just kind of destroy my team. Like as soon as I got into the game and I saw the Girder, I'm like, oh, if he's bulk up, this is kind of a problem. Granted, I believe I'm Haze on my Tapu Fini, so it's not too big of a deal, but I also don't have Fairy Stab to be able to kill this thing in return after the Haze, so it's whatever at this point. I just gotta try and beat it. So I lead with the Hitmontop, and I believe I just double straight away into the Fini. Yep. Oh wait, now I remember my Fini set. Okay, so I did not have Haze or Defog. That was 2 weeks ago. Sorry. My set I'm actually is Assault Vest with Dual Stab HP Electric for the Gyarados, and I forget what the last attack is. So he's gonna knock off my Assault Vest. So sorry for that confusion. He's gonna go into the Shame, and I'm gonna Ice Beam. There's my last attack. I'm Dual Stab, Ice Beam, and HP Electric. There's the Earth Power, and now I get a free hazard. I choose to get up a Spike, I believe. Yes, because Rocks were obviously the play if you brought the Gyarados, but you didn't bring the Gyarados. So I'm going to set up my Spikes here because they hit everything but the Aerodactyl, and Excadrill does not resist Spike like it does Stealth Rocks. So the Excadrill takes 12% every time it comes in. And I forget what I do here. I go into the Hitmontop to get the -1 attack, and he just decides to fire off the Tectonic Rage. I talked to him afterward, and I think he might have thought that I would go Fini. And I know, like, Fini pretty much just dropped to that thing. But I went Hitmontop to get the -1 attack, because I knew, like, leftovers over time and stuff. And then I also had Mach Punch to get this thing, like, really, really low. So yeah, that's the thing. So he's just going to go into his Tapu Lele on my Hitmontop. And yeah, I just go for the close combat because at the range I was at, I could guarantee to take any hit from the Excadrill, and I didn't want to risk it Swords Dancing on me maybe switching out. So in hindsight, this was like close combat was really, really not the play. Like it was fairly obvious that either Lele or the Girder would come in. But I just decided to close combat anyway, just to not let the Excadrill be able to Swords Dance, because Swords Dance Excadrill is terrifying. And now I'm forced to switch, and I believe I go into my Fini. There we go. And he actually pulled out the Calm Mind, which is not the set I was expecting at all. I was expecting Specs, which is why I was Assault Vest Fini, because I didn't really have anything else for that. And then, yeah, so he pulls out the Calm Mind right here. And I'm remembering my Fini set wrong again, because I now remember for some reason I had Shadow Ball. So there's the Psychic, that does a crap ton of damage, and I'm going to Shadow Ball. So what is my set even? It is, I know for a fact I have HP Electric. Ice Beam, Shadow Ball, HP Electric, and Surf. Okay, that's my set. I don't have Fairy Stab. That's right, I don't have Fairy Stab for the Girder. Okay, now that I actually remember my Fini set correctly, for the 3rd time of trying to get this right, I remember it now. I can let my Fini, I kind of just have to let my Fini go down here, because I can't let this thing get any more Calm Minds up. And I know that Scarf Kyurem can come in and just click Iron Head and kind of just revenge this thing. And so I did bring Iron Head in the event that he might have been like Calm Mind Alakazam, but I didn't really expect Calm Mind Lele that much. So even though he's at +2/+2, I can just go Kyurem and I can just click Iron Head, and he gives me the Lele, yay! So there's that. I talked about him I talked to him about that play after the game, and he hates himself for that play, because ideally he should have gone into Girder, but I don't really think Girder was the play, because I could have easily speed tied with the Lele and just clicked Specs Ice Beam, because I know in prep I ended up bringing Scarf, but I really so badly wanted to bring Specs, because he doesn't have an Ice Resist on his entire team, and like, he has a Piloswine, which you're like, oh, yeah, that's a nice resist. Keep in mind, Terravolt negates Thick Fat. And so because he's also part ground type, Piloswine takes ice neutrally. So he did not have an ice resist on his entire team. So I really wanted to bring Specs Ice Beam. And even at the +2, Specs Ice Beam, like, did a chunk to Lele. So I can see with him just sacking the Lele and not risking Girder is just that Ice Beam would have just annihilated Girder. But he sacks the Lele and he goes into the Tyranitar, so I think I switch right here. Yeah, I switch into the Hitmontop because I can take anything that this thing wants to go for. And he actually goes for the D-Dance, which is fine because of the Intimidate. He is now at neutral, and I obviously threaten this thing out with a close combat. So, I believe he goes into the Girder, and I believe I close combat again. Yes, I do. I made the really bad play of just staying in both times with close combat. I really did not play my Hitmontop well at the very beginning, because I just close combat everything, and I gave his Lele free setup, and this should have been free setup right here. Like, he should have clicked bulk up right here. But he didn't, and I go Ferroseed. I go Ferroseed, because I got my Spike up, I have my residual damage, and I can either Gyro Ball to do a lot of damage to this thing, but then if this thing also attacks me, he takes a bunch of Iron Barbs damage. And so if he bulks up and then decides to kill my Ferroseed, I can go Scarf Kyurem, and as long as he's not Mach Punch, I can clean. Or I can not clean, but I can get rid of this thing. So yeah. So he goes to the knockoff, knocks off my Eviolite, that's fine, he takes Iron Barbs, he takes Sand. And really what I need to do is, because this Girder is such a problem, I did not prep well for this Girder, I really just need him to take residual damage, and with the Iron Barbs plus Sand, he really isn't getting a whole lot back from Drain Punch. So that's really nice. I go for the Gyro Ball just for a bit more damage. There's the Sand, and he basically got nothing back from that Drain Punch. He's not getting anything back from this Drain Punch either. He is actually going to lose health because I was at such a low percent. And now I can go Raikou, and at this point, Raikou outspeeds, and I can just click Aura Sphere because it just destroys anything on his team. Yep, so there's the Aura Sphere. Bye-bye, Girder. So now it's 4-4, and he goes into the Excadrill. And so I'm like, okay, this is kind of the matchup I wanted. The problem is that if I had 2 spikes up, then I killed no HP Excadrill with Aura Sphere, but I only had 1 spike up. So Aura Sphere does not kill, but because the Lele is dead, he cannot get Psychic Terrain back up. If I get an Aura Sphere off versus this Excadrill, it is in fact in range of Mach Punch from Hitmontop. And I can't really switch at this point because I can't let my Kyurem take damage because Kyurem is still really good in this game. Blacephalon cleans if the Tyranitar is dead, as long as he's not like a bulky Aerodactyl. And Hitmontop can still beat his Sand Core. So I'm going to go on ahead and I'm just going to fire off the Aura Sphere right here, knowing that I can live any Earthquake because of my Shuca Berry. So yep, there's that. And there's the Aura Sphere, and now he is in range of Mach Punch. So I'm just going to let my Raikou go down right here because it's not its job. It's weakened the Excadrill. And I go Hitmontop to threaten this out with a Mach Punch. And I believe I do go for that. Yes, I do go for the Mach Punch. Okay, cool. So we get our leftovers back a little bit, and I can go Kyurem because I don't think that he is going to go for a rock move. The reason is because it would do, like, I'm still at 53% on Hitmontop. A rock move would do absolutely nothing, and I would have gotten off a massive close combat on this thing. And if he did not have Roost, then close combat would have done a lot of damage to him. Another reason I felt comfortable going Kyurem is because I felt like, okay, I have, like, it's clear that these two are my 2 win cons. They're both scarved, but he doesn't know that. And so I think he's going to try and set up his rocks right here. That's why he went Aerodactyl. So I'm going to go Kyurem to make sure I don't take any rocks damage this turn. And then also, so if he decides to set up his Stealth Rocks, Kyurem's in so it doesn't take rocks damage, and I can just Ice Beam and just get rid of this thing. And actually, looking at the rest of his team, the only way he beats Scarf Ice Beam at this point, because Tyranitar can take 2, but because he's an offensive set, like, it's just up to his spread. And even then, even if he does take 2, he would be very, very, very weakened. In which case, Hitmontop kind of clean. Hitmontop plus Blaze kind of just cleans at that point. So where was I? So yeah, so I felt comfortable switching in Kyurem right here because I felt comfortable he wasn't going to go for a rock move, and he actually goes to the Toxic and he misses. That's kind of tragic, but it doesn't end up mattering as you see later. So I'm just going to Ice Beam, get rid of this Aerodactyl. If he doesn't know I'm Scarfed, he knows now. He goes to Tyranitar, and I just go back into my Hitmontop because Tyranitar, again, at -1, can't really touch me. And he actually doubles into the Shaman, which is a really nice move on his part, knowing that I had to go into my Hitmontop because I wasn't going to lose my Kyurem, because my Kyurem is my best way to get rid of the Shaman. Granted, I still have a Blacephalon, but Kyurem's the best way to get rid of Shaman. Now, because he pulled that aggressive double, I figured, okay, he's going to be in that same mindset, so he's going to try and predict me again. Kyurem is obviously the best thing to beat Shaman. Kyurem switches in on Shaman really well, because Dragon resists Grass. Like, so if he went for the Seed Flare to try and kill my Hitmontop, Kyurem... I figured that he would predict me to switch into Kyurem, because Kyurem took a hit this thing wanted to go for, and I needed to keep my Hitmontop relatively healthy to be able to Mach Punch his Sand Core to death. Because we can Mach Punch the Excadrill, we cannot Mach Punch the Tyranitar at this point. Tyranitar needs to take another hit or 2 before we can Mach Punch the Tyranitar. So, the play here was fairly obvious. I'm going to switch back into my Kyurem as he goes for whatever. Now, I thought that, okay, he's going to clearly think that I'm going back into Kyurem. And my Hitmontop was relatively bulky, so I can take one hit of whatever this thing wants to go for, and I can get off a bunch of close combat damage on this thing. Because really, Hitmontop can be at whatever health I need it to, as long as the Tyranitar takes a bit of chip, because then, because I clean with Mach Punch. Hitmontop always outspeeds with Mach Punch. Like, I don't have to keep Hitmontop healthy for any reason. It just still has to be alive. So I decided to stay in right here, knowing that this thing probably can't kill me. And where is it? He goes to the Gleam, clearly predicting the Kyurem. I did get that right. And I go for the close combat just to get a nice chunk off on this thing. And so now at this point, he can go for the Gleam again, but based on his spread, I realized, like, based on the damage, I realized that he had no special attack investment at all, which means that Kyurem took nothing from a Dazzling Gleam. Like, Kyurem, like, took next to nothing. Like, he was no boosting item, no special attack investment. So I just go straight into my Kyurem right here, knowing I can take, you know, whatever thing this thing might have, even the Dazzling Gleams. Because Dazzling Gleam was his Kyurem option, to be able to hit Kyurem on the switch-in. And so I'm like, alright, well, if that's his best move to hit me, I can just go Kyurem right here. So I go back into Kyurem, and he goes for the Earth Power. I'm not really sure why he went for the Earth Power, probably predicting the Blacephalon to come in. But Kyurem took anything that this thing wanted to go for, even with a Gleam. Even a Gleam. So I believe I just go for the Ice Beam. Yeah, I just go for the Ice Beam to kill the Shaman. And at this point, all I need is a little damage on the Tyranitar, which I actually get right here, because I am Choice Scarfed, so I know I will guaranteed outspeed this thing. And Dragon Dances do not matter because of Mach Punch. And after one Ice Beam, I believe he's in range of Hitmontop Mach Punch. So I get off the Ice Beam, and that seals the game. But, however, we freeze him, so instead of a 2-0, where I would just sack my Kyurem to this thing, go Hitmontop, and just win with Mach Punch, we actually gain an extra differential point right here, because we froze him with Ice Beam. That's entirely what this freeze did, is that it gave us an extra differential point. And the reason I say it gave us an extra differential point is because you guys are probably thinking, oh, Excadrill still claims the Kyurem, and Hitmontop is too weak, it's at 15%, it can't really switch into the Excadrill, oh, so it's still a 2-0, so the freeze didn't really matter. But as it turns out, fun fact, he actually wasn't running any speed investment on his Excadrill at all, and so Kyurem killed anyway. So yeah, we gain an extra differential point right there. So yeah, this whole time, I thought that, oh, Excadrill gets doubled speed, as if he has any speed investment at all, like he outspeeds Kyurem. But that actually wasn't the case. He had 0 speed investment on his Excadrill. So Kyurem could have done a lot more a lot sooner. I mean, outside of the Lele and the T-Tar, he really had nothing for Scarf Kyurem. So yeah, so we win this one also 3-0. So now we are at 3-1 plus 5, I believe, which is really, really good. It's a lot better than I thought I would be doing, but also keep in mind that I predicted that I would go even in this league, but that was, but also keep in mind that 2 of my first 4 opponents were the bottom 2 teams in the standings. Eshaan obviously like had a really good record. Eshaan's the best opponent I've beaten so far, or yeah, at least in terms of standings. So yeah, so I have 2 wins versus the bottom 2 teams in the standings, which, so you have to take that 3-1 with a little grain of salt. But we do play our good friend Shadow Gallade next week, so that's going to be an excellent game. I believe that's it for this week, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.